On the 8th, Pavel, at a meeting of the Council of the Minister of Internal Affairs of the CIS member states, allegedly Lukashenko spoke and he started talking about the fact that Russia could fall. He unequivocally said that a situation may develop, I quote Lukashenko, a situation may develop in such a way that any of us of the state cannot do without this unity. If we do not understand this today, we will be dealt with separately. But if Russia collapses, we will all be drawn into this funnel. How serious is this statement, or is it frightening again, or is he considering that Russia may not be able to cope with the invasion of Kursk?
Lukashenko repeats this rhetoric permanently. This is not his first statement, not his last statement, that we should all unite around Russia, we should support Russia, and therefore Russia will support us. It is clear that the dying CIS organization gathers a certain number of ministers, sometimes heads of states for informal summits of prime ministers, does not really solve anything, does not solve any problems. But Lukashenko uses this platform to once again emphasize the importance of this association. I am sure that everyone was looking at him with round eyes, because just these days, for example, the High Commissioner for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy of the European Union was on an official visit to Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan. In front of Lukashenko, these interior ministers were sitting there. All these countries, and I am 100% convinced of this, as a diplomat after all, have already developed and signed closed strategies on how to sail away from Russia, how to preserve their independence and sovereignty without possible repercussions from the Russian Federation. They do not see Russia as a stable partner, a partner that guarantees their independence, sovereignty and territorial integrity. Russia has repeatedly proved this. The first example was Georgia, now, unfortunately, Ukraine. But Lukashenko wants to demonstrate that he is a loyal ally of the warring empire, but as long as he will be an ally, if Belarus will be an ally of the warring empire at all, it will mean that Belarus and Lukashenko will be sitting on a powder keg. He proposes that all the CIS countries sit on this powder keg. Well, I don't think there are so many people who want to.
Somehow, I say, everyone is still traveling, somehow showing some external loyalty, but there is no internal loyalty there at all.
What else is Lukashenko afraid of? He is afraid of being left alone with Russia. Because, of course, when there is the CIS and there are many countries, well, somehow he can balance here with independence, with subjectivity. At least on this platform he shows his subjectivity, his influence on something. But when it is left alone with the Russian Federation, then there is a question of subjectivity, as we see in the case of Russian drones. It's interesting to remember that Russian drones were flying in the airspace just a couple of weeks ago, and there were no protests. As the Foreign Ministry said yesterday, they strongly condemn the actions of the Ukrainian armed forces, calling them acts of terror and unacceptable attacks on civilians and peaceful villages. But nothing was said about Russian drones flying in airspace. Russian Ambassador Gryzlov was not summoned to the Foreign Ministry. We have not heard Lukashenko's Foreign Ministry statements on the 24th of February 2022, when missiles were sent to children's hospitals. They were silent even then. Now there are strong protests. He is afraid of being left alone with Russia, so he is trying to accumulate a group of allies. Well, this is useless air shaking, all this is already centrifugal.
By the way, you say, Pavel, that Lukashenko is afraid to remain one-on-one with Putin and the Kremlin. Is it possible to draw a parallel here with the fact that just a few weeks ago Belarus held military exercises with China? Perhaps Lukashenko is not so much looking for protection as for the support of another daddy. Let's put it this way.
Of course, imagine that you are sitting on a chair, and sit on one leg of this chair. Today, Lukashenko has one leg. It is Russia. From the point of view of physics, is it possible to sit on a chair with only one leg? Impossible, you will fall down. The second leg, when it is China, helps to balance the situation. So physics allows you to sit when there is support from both sides. The third, fourth leg is the Western democratic world, which does not put up, of course, that leg, a foot in the good, proper, positive sense of the word, because it is not recognized. And the Belarusian people are the fourth. And the Belarusian people showed him the way out, yes, and they continue to demonstrate it. Why are there repressions every day? Why is it that every day there's a judgment delay? Because the Belarusian people continue to fight. If the people agreed and only applauded him, Why such mass repressions? Therefore, China is beneficial to him. Yes, China is the second trading partner in terms of exports. By the way, imports there exceed from China to the Belarusian economy. He conducted military exercises. Russia did not like this either. After all, we remember that before that, France and China were in permanent consultations on how to deal with the situation related to Russia's aggression against Ukraine. As far as I know, Macron's emissary did come to Minsk and meet with Lukashenko, as well as with Ryzhenkov, who was then the first deputy head of Lukashenko's administration and is currently the Minister of Foreign Affairs. Then they continued telephone conversations. France, as I understand it, has always tried to get Lukashenko to warn him of the consequences if he gets into an armed confrontation regarding Ukraine. Well, this is what Russia does not like. Russia sent drones. Lukashenko went, asked, begged. Well, I guess I didn't agree. Or he agreed that it was necessary to come up with drones and once again prove his loyalty. Kneel down, get on all fours, whatever, but the main thing is to demonstrate loyalty to the Kremlin, the main master.